Welcome back, my lovely gang. How you doing? Right, I thought I would do a little bit of a kind of like summer khaki. We love wearing all those little cargo kind of top safari style camo. And it's quite nice to bring a little bit of makeup into that, and khaki is a really lovely colour, dark green, that will work beautifully with any kind of warm undertones that you might have in your skin. Now we're in the summer vibes. So I've got this little top on today, so I'm going to pick out the green and the khaki through that, and let me show you what you're in for. Oh gosh, she looks so much better, doesn't she? Isn't makeup just brilliant? Okay, so we're going to talk through actually some of my favourite rare beauty products as well for the base, because Selena Gomez has created a brand new foundation. It is called True to Myself, and it's a very good lightweight long wear sweat resistant, I would say, base. I'm really enjoying using it. So I am going to do the event makeup, how to make your makeup last and feel fabulous without feeling heavy for an event in a couple of weeks. And I might choose this. I've got another option that I'm sort of weighing up for you, but anyway, let's get to it. So I've got all my SPFs on, I'm all ready and protected. I think I'm going to start with shade 12. They say shake first and do one little pump. It actually comes with this great little switch, because haven't we all had that experience where you pump your makeup into, or you've used the pump in your makeup and it basically goes everywhere in your makeup bag. Ugh, so annoying, and it just never quite looks the same. So I'm going to show you with my finger again how the coverage is. So I want to show you that immediately. So when you're looking for a base, the important thing is when you put it on, does it stay put? Or is it one of those bases that kind of like stretches and stretches and stretches so that it becomes very thin and you're having to go back into your base, to your skin, to kind of give it a little bit more coverage? But what I noticed was this, is that it gives the coverage, but it also gives this beautiful, soft, matte finish. And I can only really tell the potency and effect of a foundation if I simply apply it with my finger, because with a sponge and with a brush, you're kind of whipping it and pushing it and setting it, and you never really see. You can use those things to perfect it, but if you're in store, for instance, and you're just trying to get that finish that you want, I think this is the best way to see how it affects your skin, because a lot of bases go on very, very differently. So you can see this looks, well, immediately perfecting my skin. It feels really light, and I've only got a very thin, see how much and quickly that is covered and evened out that pigmentation on my temples and just in my forehead. But it doesn't look heavy. I'm going to have to be careful around my eye area and my top lip, just because these are areas of my face that can collect makeup, and when the makeup collects, it looks more obvious. The makeup looks more obvious, the lines look more obvious. So you want to use beautiful little rare beauty brush like this. I don't know what these are called. They don't have too many brushes, but they're really, really nice to use. And so I'm just going to fluff that area, fluff and buff that area, and immediately you can see how much better it is. And really, do I need to do anything on my face? I don't. And I have quite large pores on the front of my face. And with a matter foundation, you can sometimes find that it sits in the pores, or if I'm using a tinted blush, it will sit in the pores and become more obvious. And this is kind of giving a lovely blurring effect. So as I said, I'm shade 12. I'm going to do one more pump on the other side and just show you, look, without rubbing too much, how it stretches and how it covers. It's a really beautiful base. Again, a bit like, I don't know whether you tried the Pat McGrath, I forgot what that was called, the Pat McGrath foundation, the glass bottle. which was one of the first ones that I thought, oh, this is amazing. A very fine formulation that glided onto the skin, giving great coverage with minimal effort, but didn't feel heavy. Now you can see the effect, right, on the skin here when you overdo it with makeup. So this is a medium to heavy foundation, medium to heavy coverage, should I say, because if you actually had a heavy coverage, that would be your application. You want to keep the coverage light, right? But you can see how that does affect the texture of skin. So just keep that as a warning. Keep it in the areas that wherever you find that you collect makeup or that it ages your skin, which could be like your 11s or your forehead, or you know, the lines around your smile lines around your eyes, wherever that might be. Just keep that light and just keep buffing it on those areas that you want to keep it nice and soft, and that makes all the difference. And then just down to the neck, across the ears, and into the hairline. Take everything else. So it feels super light. Feels super. You know, double word day or something, Caroline. Oh God, it's quite hot here in the UK at the moment. Woo! And I'm not going to be one of those people that complains about it. I'm just using a little bit of a water wipe here just to remove any product from my brows, because I'm often using light products. But when you're using a medium to heavy coverage foundation, you want to make sure that you don't have any product collecting in your brows or in your lashes. Right, in contrast to that, I'm going to show you this really lovely 24-hour radiant concealer, again by Khaki. And I hope I don't start repeating myself with products because of the long wear one that I'm doing, but this is really nice. It's a great shade, 02. Now again, you can see the difference. I'm just gonna, maybe I'll just put a little bit on my hand there, just to show you, to be courageous. That's the difference in colours that I've got for my concealer and my base. You really want to make sure, especially if you're dark around your eyes, and it can be a light formulation. I'm not talking about it being heavy. It can be super light. But you want to make sure that the colour is lifting those darker areas. If you're not particularly dark, then you don't need to worry. But if you want to kind of get that sort of eye brightening, wide awake effect and you're feeling really exhausted, or whatever life might be throwing at you, just try and really bring up that colour. Now you can see that it's a little patchy, so again, go in with a nice soft brush. I mean, patchy is in, I need to explain myself. I pushed my finger into the product, okay, but it didn't blend out because it's a 24-hour long wear, so it's slightly, it's not as thin and as hydrating as a lot of concealers would be, but it's absolutely brilliant because it stays put, and that's what we want. What is the point of sitting in front of the mirror and putting on a concealer and it doesn't last? But you need to be cautious. You need to place it on the area that you want to lighten, and then you need to buff it into the areas of the rest of the skin so it blends into the base, so you get this lovely, hopefully, seamless effect. So there we go. Good. Right, let me do a little bit of the Anastasia ink brow. Push those brows up. And then we're going to go into my favourite Rare Beauty products. I thought it was quite nice just to do, not a whole brand. Look, you can see actually where I've perfected base. I've just got to soften that side of my fingers pulling it off. So be gentle. Because they are such lovely products. And it's quite nice to use one brand just to sort of show you what you might want to select at the counter when you're looking at it. Now just very gently, you can see how that's building nice and lightly but not densely. I find that the inks, the L'Oreal one lasts very well, a long time as well. They last a little bit better when it's hot. Gosh, I do apologise. So I'm just layering. You see where that brow is slightly thinner there? Rather than painting like I normally do, because this tattooing is fading now, I've been able to be so lazy with these brows. But now, as you can see, It's so much better, but it's so nice and light. You don't really tell. You can't really tell. So you lay it on. Try that as a little trick rather than painting. If you feel that either one, you're coming to the end of your product, which I think I am, always store them downwards in your pot so the ink is ready to go. And then just lay. And also just by laying, you're also getting that nice natural brow shape. And then just pull that out slightly. And if you go too heavy, you can just use a little spoolie. Give myself a little bit of structure underneath and push that up. Good. Okay, so I might need to just run the brush through both of those just to give it a bit of softness. And you probably noticed that, I mean, sometimes I don't do my brows. I just try and vary it up to give you different bits of information on the channel and not do the same thing over and over again. But that little tip by using it's quite a dry water wipe. It's not like heavy and liquidy. It also removes any kind of skincare SPF that you might have in your brows, and that when you're putting on your brow product, that just enables the ink or the kohl to really last on your eyebrow because you're not putting it on a greasy base. Okay, so what should we do first? I think we'll go in with the lovely contours. Now, it's not often that I do a contour. I had 8 teeth taken out when I was 12 because I was very Bugs Bunny. I had very protruding front teeth, which I still do. But anyway, this gave me this lovely indentation in my cheekbones. So I don't need to contour my face particularly. I need to add volume to my cheeks with my blush, as you've seen me do. But when I'm working, I love to use these, Mellow and Solace. Mellow is slightly lighter and this is slightly cooler. I'm going to go in with Mellow first, as I'm just going to use it as a sort of, because it's not as cool as the other one, I'm going to place it on those areas that I'd like just a little bit more definition, just for softness. Here, see where my jaw comes down slightly there? You can take the contour and just soften that, just increasing that natural shadow under your jaw can just give you that sharpness. Now, it looks very small in terms of what I've done compared to what you might see on social media, but that's because these products really move and extend, so you want to be really cautious that you're not overdoing it. So I really want to blend that up into my cheekbone. Your natural line of your contour is the outside of your mouth to the top of your ear. Okay, so for every face, I've done a video of this actually, maybe I'll link to that video, about using your own facial features to place your makeup on your face. And I'm going to bring that up and around. But you don't want to bring it any lower than there because it will just look grubby. Now for me, I have to blend this in with blush, otherwise I will look sort of slightly gaunt. But combined with the blusher, it's just so lovely. And this is great for a pale skin, just to give you that little bit, you see how that's a line there? You've got to really blend that in so that it goes into the tone of the neck and then soften that line so it just looks like a natural shadow. Clever, right? And that's just a very soft tone, just you mimicking those natural shadows or just bringing those natural shadows up so you get a tighter kind of effect. So I've used the same brush just to enhance lightly, but these are very beautiful products. I don't think that you will ever get to the end of this. And because it's a liquid, you know that you'll get a light effect. Just use a tiny amount and use a small brush and put it on a base that's not too greasy. If you're using a lot of tinted moisturiser, it's very glossy, you'll find that it moves around and you don't get that shape that you want. And if you want to go for that, you're probably better using a powder. But anyway, these two shades are just so lovely, and they're on the side of being beautifully cool, meaning it mimics the shadow rather than adding kind of warmth, which is what a bronzer does to your face. Okay, so look at all the blushes. I mean, I'm so fortunate that I get to play with all of these. Now, looking at them, which ones would you think would be great? It might be an idea, if you're unsure of what blush to place first, is to do your eyes first, especially if you're going to go for a colour. So, shall I do that? Let's do that. Let's do that way. I think I know, because I just have a feeling which one it is. Let's see if you get it right. So there's the, hold on, let's just look at the colours. So we've got Worth, Joy and Grateful. Have a little think, see which one I'm going to go for once I've got my greeny eyes on. I'm going to go with a little bit of the highlight. Now, I wanted to talk about this highlight, and this is called Enlighten. Okay, so this is more of a moonlit glow, and you'll probably be aware, or may have noticed, that I use a lot of kind of warmy tones. But for this one, I want to use something that's just a little bit more cooler, because I'm going to have the green on my eyes and the pinky blush, and I've got the sort of more of a cool toned shape on my cheeks. I don't really want to make it more yellowy, so I've gone for a kind of cleaner highlight. So just literally a stripe, which you then take the brush and then blend backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. It will all tie together once you've got the blush on. But with these formulations, you can put them on, you know, quite stripy. It's almost like, you know, a bit of like child's play. You're just sort of putting it on. But then once you blend it, and my touch of my brush is super, super light. Once you blend it, it then morphs into this beautiful, undetectable kind of highlight to your face, and you don't see a stripe as such, but you need to get that product on. I think a lot of people just get scared of the product. You can see how they really morph together really beautifully. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of the Trini Miracle Blur just on my top lip, just randomly, because I've seen it and I forgot to put it on. I just like to smooth it out. I go backwards and forwards to fill in my lines and just around my nose, and it sort of acts as like a sort of a mattifier as well. But it's nice pre-lip. I just like to get that on. That makes me feel a bit more confident. Okay, so for the eyeliner, I've chosen one of the beautiful Hourglass Voyeurs waterproof gel eyeliners. And this is in the shade Forest. And I'm going to blend this with the really beautiful, gorgeous Lisa Eldridge cream eyeshadow in NA. I'm going to put this on first. I'm going to blend the eyeshadow, the eyeliner into this so that it kind of looks a little bit softer. Now you might think, oh God, she's going metallic, sparkles, that's a bit much. Isn't that a bit sort of party, wintry? Absolutely not. I'm not a fan of having actual kind of like sparkles on my complexion. I like my skin to look like gorgeous, healthy skin, as good as I can possibly get it. But I do like a sort of pointed difference on my eyes. And I love these metallic shades. And I love these kind of like soft khaki greens. So remember the tip of what I've said, pop many, many times before, pop the majority of colour on your eyelid and push up so that you get that nice soft socket. Otherwise you end up with quite a small eye. I think I should probably just do a recap on do's and don'ts with makeup, shouldn't I? The differences that it makes. We all get into habits, right? And I know most of you are putting makeup on like you load the dishwasher. I know you are. I am too sometimes. And I'm like, oh God, what have I done? You know, we've just done it so many times. You just do it and your brain is elsewhere. And that's a big problem for all of us at the moment, our concentration levels, because we've fed so much information. My head and thought patterns are darting around in my head all the time and just not focusing on one thing, which is something that I need to definitely improve. I read a lovely book. It was a great book, gripping book, you know, like a thriller. It was a thriller. It's called Five. Highly recommend. Iona Bannister, I think, is the name of the author. So if you want a book that you get straight into, straight away, you don't have to kind of, you know, go through 5 chapters before you go, okay, fine, I get this. It's a good one. Right, so there's my soft wash. So seeing that with the green, lovely soft skin, love that. But I'm going to add a little bit of definition. Now these are propelling pencils, so you don't sharpen them. And I'm just going to really wedge that into my waterline. But I'm going to leave it like that. And then I'm just going to soften the edges, okay? Because what you find is if you take the liner all the way to the inside and all the way out, you're going to end up with excess colour, which will then slip and slide. And when you want to use makeup to lift your eyes, you don't want to take it down. So we're just using this sort of like centre lid action, and then we're going to pull it back up. So almost straight across. Look, you can see maybe there now that I haven't gone close enough to the lash. And the highlight of the eyeshadow is peeping through, and you don't want that. You want a lovely dark definition there. And then blend that in, and these set beautifully and last, and that is what you want. There's no point going through this whole process and then things wear off. And that's the thing, isn't it? And a lot of us in the summertime like to wear, you know, tinted moisturiser, but then we're very hot, and then you kind of end up sweating it off, and then you get to work or wherever you're meant to be going, and you just look the same. So sometimes it's quite nice to use a kind of, you know, humidity-proof, sweat-proof makeup that feels this light. It's very good. And maintain that coverage if skin is your thing. Right, oh yes, so this is Marauder. Now this is a new brand that new to me, that my friend's mum had, and she had this white foundation. She put it on her skin and it looked absolutely beautiful. I'd never heard of the brand. So they sent me a few of their products, and I really love this brush. I love it. You'll know why, because it's got that flat bit with no bristles that I can plant the mascara. And the bristles are really tightly packed. So at the bottom, can you see, I can just press it. Press, press, press. And you get a real dump of mascara, and then you just glide it up. It's a good one, right? Marauder. So press, press, press the base of the mascara wand. Slightly easier than the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. It's got a few more bristles around the flat part, so it stops you from getting too much mascara once. I think the mascara was needing to be changed, and there was a lot of mascara and it was slightly thick, and I just pressed it on my eyelash and literally just got like a completely full eye of mascara pigment. Oh, it was disgusting. So you don't get that. I'm such a great salesperson, aren't I? Well, I'm not selling anything. I'm sharing the joy of makeup. But this is a really great mascara. Look at that. Oh, we love a great effect. So the green is sort of quite subtle now, but it's really flattering as it picks up the green from my top. It's just such a beautiful combination. Right, so I am going to go in with Worth. Too punchy, bit too pinky and tweeny, and this is just a bit more classic. I don't know whether you would have imagined I'd have gone for that shade. Again, Rare Beauty, we love their blushes. They go a long way, like the e.l.f. ones. So, place it on. I'm just going to use the same brush. You can use your finger or a little brush, whichever you prefer. And for me, it's all about adding the colour to the top of my cheekbone to give me a little bit of a lift. And you want to do it from the outside, so you just really smudge and blend and dilute the product. And again, the touch of my brush against my face is very light. So take it over the nose, very soft, not the same as the cheek, it has to be lighter than that. The cheeks have to have the most amount of colour, but just that little bit of softness. And we'll all have our favourite areas of our face that we like to apply our blusher, but just think about why you're applying it. Are you applying it to give yourself a nice fresh vibe, or are you applying it to kind of give yourself a little bit of a lift, but with that soft contour? Hasn't that made a big difference? And again, I teach you to use makeup in a very subtle way to amplify your natural beauty. We can all improve our features with makeup. Whether you wish to wear it or not is totally up to you, but makeup is a wonderful tool that can just give us a real boost to how we feel about ourselves. Right, okay, so my favourite Rare Beauty Serenity lip oil, combined with a new liner from Trini actually, which came in very, very recently, and I love the tone of it. It's called Fran. It's a really lovely brownie neutral. As you can see, I've been using it. So again, it's a propelling one, which I actually did sharpen it, and I've kind of busted the look of it, which has really annoyed me, but anyway. Now, you know that if you've got a lip liner, I'm sure you all have in your makeup bags, I bet they're sort of more pinky. For so long, we just had like the option of just sort of pinky liners. And then the more nudie pinks came along, and now these lovely kind of browny soft tones. And this works really well because it's sort of like a very soft lip contour, but like a really secret one, a bit like the contour that I put on my cheek. It's just got that little touch of coolness to it in tone, and obviously fabulously cool. Now I'm going to take this to here, and I'm going to take this to here. I'm not going to go over my Cupid's bow today. I'm going to keep it like this. I'm going to fill that colour in. Just to the sides like that. Now, soften that edge, blur, keep everything soft. And then go in with the lovely lip oil on top. Serenity. It's a really lovely, will work so well with the blush. I actually didn't even know that would work. It's a nice, it's a sort of pink, I don't know how to describe this pink. It's like a rose pink. It's not like too berryish, where it sort of deadens the look. It's got a real kind of energy to it. Texture of dreams. So you're going to make sure that blends in with the liner. Lovely. Just feathering those edges. Right, so what do you think? New and improved? I reckon so. And it's nice because it's soft and it's classy with a little bit of something, and the modern finish to this is the softness and sheerness with that hint of colour on the eyes, keeping everything else really classic and really beautifully shaped. Anyway, I hope you like it. Look forward to receiving all of your comments, and if you want to share me with a friend, please do. I need to grow the channel. I need to spread the word. So if you can help me, I'll be very, very pleased. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. See you in a few weeks. Bye.